Yeah.
Live.
Just let me know. I'm here. Okay. I'm just getting my coffee.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining Voice of Crypto's live podcast. We are going to start shortly, so stay tuned, everyone. All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another really exciting episode of Voice of Crypto, where we get guests from across the Web3 blockchain crypto space. And today we have with us a really special guest. We have online with us Mr. Raj Kapoor, who is the founder and CEO of India Blockchain Alliance. Hello, Mr. Kapoor. It's a pleasure to have you on Voice of Crypto's live show today. And how are you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely, Varuni, and always happy to be in a place where people talk about a wonderful technology. So always happy, and I'm good today. Always.
Sounds great. And you have founded India Blockchain Alliance. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the entity is all about? How you
Sure.
came, how you thought about founding this particular entity?
Yeah, actually, I've been in this space for donkey's years. I was, frankly speaking, I was a
Yeah.
miner way back in 2010. I used to mine Bitcoin in 2010. That was
Hmm.
a long back, of course. That just
Oh,
when, yes. So I'm probably India's first miner. I don't know. There is no record of it, but I don't know anybody else who's as ancient as me. So yes, I think I like to myself, call myself. I was not only that, I used to trade, I used to speculate, but
hmm.
that taught me a little bit. It taught me blockchain. It taught me about the platform on which on in the technology that powers it. And I think my journey, I always say, my journey has been from speculation, that is Bitcoin, to revolution, that's blockchain. So
Absolutely.
we started India Blockchain Alliance way back in 2018 when nobody
Hmm.
knew what I was talking about. Everybody thought I'm talking Dutch, Greek, Italian, whatever, but definitely not English. And
Yeah.
even, a lot of people even thought that I'm doing something illegal under the hood, sort of a stuff. What is this guy,
Sure.
Bitcoin, blockchain? What is he talking about? And that's when I decided, let's make a little difference and let's make people understand that, well,
Hmm.
we're talking about two different things altogether. You know,
Yeah.
there are linked, yes, but they're not the same. Because
Hmm.
whenever I would come to India, I was in the US that time, that's why I could mine Bitcoin. But whenever I came to India and I talked about blockchain, including a lot of government entities, everybody only asked me, hey, Bitcoin kharide kya? Should I buy Bitcoin? So there's just something going wrong somewhere. Let's try
Hmm.
and bust that myth. So
Yeah.
basically, to bust that myth, we formed this India Blockchain Alliance. There were three of us, two of them, and we still remain together. And we've been together since '98. But when we said, okay, what do we do it together. I was the one
Hmm.
of the. So I said, well, let's get together. And the first thing we
Hmm.
did was start, sharing with education institutions because that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
Started with
Absolutely.
one, two, three, four. Now it's 218 now. Now
Oh, wow.
we work with 218 colleges, universities, institutions, all talking about blockchain, helping them get hands-on experience, getting them real-life training, the whole 9 yards, so to speak, so that they can either become fantastic resources for organizations or they can have a beautiful startup journey of their own. So that's
Right.
how it started off. But as we walked along that way,
Mm,
we started doing a lot of advisory, a lot of projects, a lot of, I work a lot with the government now. I
mm,
also, on a personal basis, I'm an advisor for more than 60 Web3 companies globally,
mm.
across USA, Australia, UK, India, of course, UAE, Singapore, even a couple of them in Japan. So
Wow.
that's been one fantastic journey in the last few years. And
Hmm, hmm.
all that happened in the last 5 years. Although
Yeah.
I've been in this for the last 13 years, but last 5 years, I saw a major uptick and it's not stopping. So that's
Yeah.
IBA. We help spread the knowledge of proper blockchain, not just overnight experienced guys who have overnight guys who suddenly become crypto experts and NFT experts. I've seen a whole
Yeah.
proliferation of those. And our idea is to bust the myth. And listen, guys, enjoy it. If you don't know it, say you don't know it and embrace it. That's the idea. Bringing
Absolutely.
it to get mainstream. That's what IBA stands for. IBA, and also the last thing which we do is also work with the government on policy, on
Right.
taxation, on standards and frameworks within the blockchain ecosystem. So that's a lot of
Got it.
stuff which we do.
Absolutely, and we will need to deep dive into all of this, which we will shortly. But before that, I have another question for you. You said that you're working really closely with the governments, and what the governments are thinking, what regulators have been thinking, is sort of a question for especially retailers or beginners in this space. So, can you give an overview of what exactly is happening in this space?
Yeah, I can give you a fair overview. A couple of things. First of all, if you look at the blockchain projects, let's talk about crypto and blockchain in two separate things. The crypto word is a taboo word in India.
Yeah,
Nah.
especially for
In fact,
regulators.
so we'll call it virtual digital assets. Okay, sounds good. Sounds more
Mm,
erudite. So we'll use VDAs or virtual digital assets. Now, out of that, listen, crypto actually is a great thing. However,
yeah,
the speculation and the uncertainty and the rug pulls and the scams that have taken place over the last few years because it's been a gold rush. And whenever there's
yeah.
a gold rush, you're going to this is an absolute outcome of the actual gold rush. But the greed, and it's not your native intelligence that takes over.
Mm,
Greed takes over. Okay, everybody wants to make quick money, and everybody thought Bitcoin is a shortcut to success and a lifetime of being having the yachts and the airlines and all sorts of stuff of yours. Anyway, that's
mm,
not true. Not true. Don't
mm.
ask me how many bitcoins I mine. That's a different issue altogether. Okay.
I think I will get to that later on.
All right. You can get to me later on. So, as far as the government is concerned, yes, they are very concerned about crypto because there is no regulation and it can actually disrupt the way economies move. So
Mm,
that is one major pain point: anti money laundering, terrorist funding, improper
yeah.
KYCs, no control over how money moves. And I'll tell you
Mm,
one thing, Aruni, in Delhi, if you go to Chandni Chowk, every day millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of trade is happening in this space, giving it a bad name, right? You wouldn't believe it happens more than it happens on exchanges. Seriously, you got to get out of the real. Nobody will know that because they know nobody goes to Chandni Chowk and finds out, oh, where the hell do I change crypto? There is a huge, humongous business out there. Government also has not been able to plug that gap. The
mm,
government hasn't been able to plug the gap for two, three reasons. One,
yeah.
the technology is very nascent. Two,
Mm,
it doesn't have very great advisors around because they don't come from that background. The stakeholders are all different. Stakeholders are different, and we need all sorts of stakeholders. We don't just need the exchanges. We
yeah.
need everybody. We need the fiduciary, we need the judiciary, we need the taxation, we need exchanges, we need the biggest thing we need, and is completely missing with the government right now is lack of technical expertise. They don't
Absolutely.
have anybody in the technology space which writes policy. That's
Mm,
if you're going to write policy, you must know how it works. It's like a surgeon. He will not be able to operate unless he knows what he's operating. I mean, you can go to a doctor for a cough and a cold, but can you go for a heart problem or a hair, or a brain surgery? You can't do that. That's the
yeah.
missing link. That's the biggest missing link right now. There's nobody in the tech space who can actually tell them what are the flaws in the system.
Yeah.
Where are the vulnerabilities in the system? What's the security issues? And how can you overcome them? It takes a
Mm,
thief to catch a thief, Faruni. And I
yeah.
think we don't have a thief in the system. And I mean it from a
Yeah.
good perspective. The second thing, from a blockchain perspective, let's have a look at that spectrum. If you
Hmm.
see, India has taken out four documents by the government on blockchain, starting
Hmm.
with the first one in 2020,
Yeah.
when the Niti Aayog took out the first national strategy, blockchains about blockchain strategy, Niti Aayog 2020. That was in Jan 2020. Then came COVID and everything went in a dizzy. It was supposed to be a
Hmm.
two-part document, then became only a single-part document. But then
Right.
came about Mighty took out the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology took out first document in Jan 2021. That was a national strategy on blockchain,
Yeah.
which talked about what could be a plausible and way forward in the blockchain space. Then in
Hmm.
December came the more updated version of the same thing.
Yeah.
And in between, NIC, the government's IT portal, backyard, took out a document, blockchain for governments. Now, these four documents mean what? It means government is very keen on implementing a great technology. Now, that is
Absolutely.
important because no other technology has got four documents come out in a row like this. And
Absolutely.
that's never happened. That's the first thing. And if you also look at it now, there are 90 plus projects in over 16 states, blockchain
Hmm.
projects ongoing at different stages. That
Yeah.
itself, the validation that the technology is there to stay and it's
Hmm.
not going anywhere.
Absolutely. And you're working very closely with the Goa state government you just mentioned when we began. So
Yes.
how are state governments and even the national government, how are governments reaping the benefits of blockchain technology? Are there already use cases that are being put into use?
Yes, of course. The Goa government is putting his, land titles on the blockchain.
Oh, wow.
And right now, we are doing 7 or 8 POCs on putting
Mhm.
multiple things. Like we are putting the registry of migrant labor and tourists which come into Goa. Why do we want them on the blockchain? So we can track and trace where they are. Because there's a lot of sometimes the crime which is committed in a very peaceful hamlet called Goa is mostly
Mhm.
done by either tourists or migrant labor which comes in. Not to say everybody's bad, but there are few bad apples everywhere. So we're putting this together, a very unique KYC on the blockchain, doing a pilot in that. We're also
Wow.
putting a lot of things in the supply chain. We're putting, for example, liquor,
Mm.
liquor, right, so that we can actually track and trace the provenance of the liquor, original liquor, so people get the
Right.
real stuff. I mean, I don't drink at all, so I really don't know what the real or the fake tastes like. But a lot of people, hey, this is not, and people fall sick, people die. There are a lot of issues and complications. That's another thing. In states which have got excise, like
Yeah.
Maharashtra, we are also putting a similar thing where we are actually, helping the Maharashtra government on trying
Mm.
bring in more excise income through the sale of true and correct liquor rather than counterfeit liquor. So that's we're
Yeah.
stopping that. That's among the few things. Again, let me let you know a very big secret of the Goa government right now. That is something. And why do you think I'm in Goa all the time? Yeah. One of the things we're doing, and you'll be very happy to know, and all the people in the crypto space, especially from India, would
Yeah.
love to know that Goa is going to become the world's largest Web3 hub in the world. And we have signed an alignment, Goa government and us, we as IBA and a couple of other partners, we are getting together and creating the biggest Web3 hub. And you know what the project is called?
Yeah.
Web3 on the Sea, where
Oh,
all our
okay.
incubation and all the startups will be in ships in the sea. We will
Wow.
have the startups being incubated in huge boats, all in 5 boats with different, one blockchain, one AI, one Web3, one DeFi, gaming, all different incubations right there. They're going to incubate over 1,000 companies over the next 3 years. And
Mm.
that's already started. The sign off was done about 3 weeks back. Now everything is in motion. The big launch will be sometime in November. I'll let you
Mm.
know about that. But this is going to put India on the Web3 map
Man,
big. There will
definitely.
be less people in Dubai and more people coming back and living in Goa. So we're making the concept of vacationing in Goa to workation in Goa.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Taking
that's
it one step ahead.
way, way, way. We want to put India on the world map. We want to
Absolutely.
show India that we are a superpower in the Web3 space. We've already missed the Web 1 bus. We missed the Web 2
Yeah.
bus. But Web 3, we are in pole position. And if we do it right, we'll be number one in this space. So there we
Mm-hmm.
go. That's what the government is doing. Now that itself should be a validation of how much the government wants to. And by the way, the entire district which we're putting up together will have hotels, will have the KFCs and everything. It's a full ecosystem, not just the startup incubator. No, that there are quite a few. But this will not only be in the sea, it'll be in the sea and the beach. So you're going to enjoy that. Who doesn't enjoy that, guys? It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And if I show you some of the videos which the floating jetty, etc., you'll go
Oh wow.
crazy. I've already gone crazy, so I'm not going anywhere. I'm going right here. So that should answer the validation question for you.
So the Go government is pretty ahead in terms of they're staying ahead of the curve when it comes to adoption, especially of blockchain technology. But what do you have to say about the central government and ultimately how would India as a nation work towards adoption of blockchain technology?
Okay, I have a little take on that. The governance in India actually has a lot of issues. You've
Hmm.
seen over the last few years, government has actually successfully created the foundation for digital infrastructure.
Yeah.
For example, Aadhaar is there, which is a successful model. UPI, the DigiLocker, e-signature, Mudra. There are plenty of these, and the GST, which is a GST complete system. Now, this is all great stuff from the digital, but it's all working in silos.
Yeah.
Blockchain is going to bring all these things right into a seamless integrated platform, and that's one of the things we are working on. I'll give you an example. In Africa right now, for example, we're working, and I'm going to be doing this in India soon also. It's a very
Hmm.
simple thing. Now, I ask you a question. How many ID cards do you have? I mean, you have one ID card, just you, but you have an Aadhaar card, you have a PAN card, you have an election card, you have a ration card, you have a passport, you have a driving license, and God knows how many more. At least
Yeah.
five, six, all of us have got, right?
Absolutely.
Now, what happens if you lose them? You put in
Hmm.
your purse, and somebody whacks your purse. It's
There's going to be a lot
catastrophic.
of
You want to
procedures.
write
Yeah.
each one of them, address proof, this, that, and how will you get the address proof? Half the address proof is lost anyway. But whatever it is, you will give your address proof, bank or lico, you write to the Aadhaar, you write to passport office.
Yeah.
It's a big pain.
It's an endless
Now,
process. Yeah.
what if there was a single digital ledger? When you update your details, automatically updates everywhere. Right now, your passport may have a different address, Aadhaar may have a different address,
Hmm.
driving license may have a different address depending on which state you're working.
Yeah.
Try taking a loan. Try
Hmm.
taking a loan, and you see how much they'll harass you. Oh, sir, this address is different. That address is different. How come this
Yeah.
is different? Prove to me that it is not. It's just like being a criminal. Oh, am I guilty? That my address is different. Sorry, guys, I was born in Punjab. I was born in Amritsar. I don't have an Amritsar address because I don't have a house there anymore. I stay
Yeah.
in Goa, but I have my house in Bombay. But my Aadhaar card is Bombay, but here they don't have. Oh, brilliant. Now blockchain can solve issues like this in the e-governance, in the governance space, especially
Hmm.
by having a common public ledger which updates automatically.
Yeah.
It solves the problem. Now, if I need to go to a bank, I don't need to take my KYC every time. They can just check on the public ledger.
Yeah.
If I don't need all that stuff, why do we make life difficult? All five bodies, none of them speak with each other. One is here, one is there. Oh, it's a nightmare, and it's a nightmare. And I'm not in most countries, not just here, but there is a solution. So
Yeah.
that's where I think the government should be doing a lot of work in that. Now, also, if you look at the fundamentals of the government runs on
Hmm.
good governance. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be known as. We already know that whenever people talk about any government, people think
Hmm.
first corruption. Oh, it'll be very slow,
Yeah.
quality, etc. These are the common things which first come to the head.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why not go to a government hospital if you're
Hmm.
unwell? You go
Yeah.
to a private hospital. Why do we not put our children in government schools?
Hmm.
We all know the answers. Hmm?
Yeah.
So when we talk about the government is not just associated with all what they're trying to do, but mostly with either something being shoddy, not being trusted, we don't know how it works, etc., etc. That's the reason why people go towards the private sector.
Hmm.
The government needs to bring in some really good processes here to make
Right.
the public understand that we are doing something for you. For example, the
Hmm.
public distribution system or the ration system.
Hmm.
Do
Hmm.
you take ration? You don't take. I don't take ration. I've never been to a ration shop.
Hmm.
Okay, but it actually impacts 80 to 90 crore people in the country. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now, if we have it on the blockchain, we will know whether the rations have actually gone to the right beneficiary or not. We can
Right.
track and trace in real time.
Hmm.
We as taxpayers will know that our money is being put to good use. We pay
Hmm.
our tax, right? It's not the government that is spending the money, it's we, you and I, that are spending the money. So we
Yeah.
should also have the transparency to track and trace such things like the PDS. There are several government schemes. How do we know whether actually the impact is being happening? No, we don't
Yeah.
know because it's not on the blockchain. We cannot view, we just know something is going on. How
Hmm.
the hell do we know that this is actually happening. It's benefiting somebody. Healthcare schemes, pension schemes, all these can be. It'll have improved transparency. It'll bring about accountability. It'll increase efficiency, and the actual word ease of doing business will
Yeah,
actually be if you put in the blockchain.
absolutely.
That's another space. And finally, if
Hmm.
you look at the agriculture space, India is an agrarian country.
Yeah.
More than 50-60% of India is agriculture.
Hmm.
How about the blockchain in the agriculture space? Supply, track and trace,
Yeah.
fertilizers, seeds, pesticides. All this can be on a. In fact, there is the. I don't know whether you heard of the National Agriculture Market, the ENAM, which is a
Hmm.
of India trading platform for agricultural commodities. Now
Hmm.
that's gone on the blockchain. So now
Oh
this
wow.
gives farmer audit trails
Yeah.
when and nothing can be tampered with now. Tomorrow, this can be this good model for the MSP, which is the
Hmm.
biggest flare up point for the government and the Kisan Andolan. This will
Hmm.
remove the gap between farmers and the mandi intermediaries, reduce transaction costs. It will increase the trading of commodities right across India from any corner, not just localized. All these things are also good because it actually enhances the nation's credibility. It enhances
Absolutely.
growth. It brings the largest sector, like the agri sector, into a sector where they can have trust, traceability, and security.
Yeah.
That's the thing also. So it impacts social sectors. The government has realized it and it's doing its bit in it. It basically, as I told you, there are 90 plus projects in the government space across
Yeah.
16 states. They are in
Hmm.
supply chain, they are in healthcare, birth certificate, death certificates, etc. So, and of course, finance. There are so many in this space now. We need to have more. 90 is nothing in a country as large as India. You know,
Hmm.
we even have the largest population in the world now. Not a very proud of that right now, but we are part
Hmm.
of it. And so you might as
Hmm.
well enjoy it. Let's leverage the people now since we've got so many of them. Let's put them to good use. And blockchain can be a real good game changer for all of us out here and the government. I think the government really now has understood it, not only taken on
Hmm.
the documents, trying to implement some things. And
Yeah.
I see over the next few years a major uptick in government application of blockchain. I've seen that in the last few years. 2 years, I've seen a lot more. And I'm
Hmm.
sure in the next years, I'll probably be even busier than I am right now.
Let's hope so.
Oh, I hope.
I did want to ask what your views on CBDCs are, and how well do you think the digital Indian rupee would play out, especially looking at India as a country which is already heading towards decent
Yeah,
digitalization.
yeah,
We already did the scanner and
yeah,
KYC stuff.
yeah.
So how's it going to play out for us?
I have two opinions on this actually. One is my personal opinion, and one is good for the country. My personal opinion is it's my personal opinion, and I'm not scared to say that because I worked on the Nigerian CBDC. I was one of the task force of the Nigerian CBDC, which was the world's first CBDC. So I've seen the challenges there also, but Nigeria is a smaller country, so it's like one small state of India. But
Hmm.
the challenges were similar. The challenge,
Hmm.
but we overcome those challenges. And today, I'm not saying it's 100% success, but it is about 60%, 70% in the adoption space out there right now.
Right.
Why is it happening there? Because the government insisted that we have that, and they don't have the other options like UPI, etc. So therefore, it became an easier adoption point. Also, it's a good thing from a perspective of being so from a social perspective, it brings the unbanked into
Yeah.
mainstream
Bank.
to some extent.
Bank.
I like that aspect of CBDC. What I
Hmm.
don't like about the CBDC, it is not defined clearly.
Yeah.
We are groping in the dark. It's basically like the blind man and the elephant. Everybody, oh, somebody holds the tusk, somebody the tail, somebody the leg, somebody the stomach, and everybody's got their own perception about it. Okay, I'm very honest about it. It requires a lot more work. It requires
Yeah.
a pilot much larger than the one we've done right now to actually understand the gravity of it or the impact of it. In a
Right.
very controlled environment, a CBDC will work perfectly. But the
Hmm.
question is, do we need CBDC? If it's
Yeah.
not on the blockchain, why do we need it?
That
UPI
makes
is doing good
sense.
enough. Because one of the
Exactly.
statements made by some of the government officials was it may not be on blockchain. Why?
Hmm.
If it's going to be a digital currency, why not on the blockchain? Now,
Absolutely.
other good things about CBDC, which I like basically was it can be it's programmable money. So we
Yeah.
can use it. Like, for example, if I go take a loan from a bank and
Hmm.
I take a CBDC, that loan is that CBDC is programmed specifically for what my loan is. For example, to buy plant and machinery. I can't sit down and buy a BMW and a Jaguar for myself the next day. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. A lot of business people will say, "Oh Lord, now that's gone." But there are the
Yeah.
good sides of it, I like the good sides. What I say
Mm.
also, we have started piloting it quite late. It took
Yeah.
China 4 years, four
Mm.
years for it
They're
becoming
still not
mainstream,
there.
and it's still not there. We
Yeah.
are at in the basement right now, and we still have a long way up. It's a good
Mm.
start. It's
Mm.
programmable money, which is good, but if it's not on the blockchain, it's nothing.
Mm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
UPI is good enough. We've got UPI is good, and everybody adopts UPI. Also, what happens is it takes a lot of people time to
Yeah.
change. Why will I go it? Why should I do it? Also, if it's CBDC, government can put off the switch, and my money is blocked. A lot of those fears are there. We got to
Mm-hmm.
mitigate. Secondly, all banks are not
Mm.
right now ready for CBDC. The
Mm.
preparedness for the financial system is not completely there. I would say we are just 15-20% prepared, not
Yeah.
even more than that. Let any figures come wherever you want. I'll tell you
Yeah.
figures from practical experience. They're just not going to be there. Imagine tomorrow you have a CBD. What the hell are you going to do with it? How many of us know how to open wallets and all sorts of stuff? And people say, "Oh,
Yeah.
it's very difficult. I'm not doing it. UPI से करेंगे." Google Pay है ना. I don't care. I'm spending 30 rupees. Why will I worry about security? I don't care,
Yeah.
right? And the people who've got the big money, the lakhs,
Mm.
and they don't necessarily, they as it is don't do any transactions of this.
Yeah.
Transactions are, either the corporate or the other transactions are in different geographies and countries, so they're
Yeah.
not bothered. So in my opinion, CBDC is conceptually a good idea, but
Mm.
implementation and execution, that's where the problems will occur, and that's what we need to address right now. Then we can talk about CBDC as a game changer. It has
Mm.
all the bells and whistles, yes, it has everything, but it has
Yeah.
several downsides. Like, yeah, the government says, "Oh, something fishy out here, just switch it off." Oh, gone. One tap of a button and all your money is locked inside. What do you do?
Yeah.
It's a
And no one
problem.
would trust the governments that much, so that's where all this skepticism
Yes,
arises.
there's a lot of skepticism. So actually, to bring about adoption of something new,
Yeah.
skepticism has to go, and the right technology has to be used. Otherwise, you're just bringing in one more form of payment.
Yeah, just sort of jumping on the hype train would be a good word to describe all of this.
It's I
I
think most countries are moving into the by 2030. Almost all countries will have some form of a CBDC, either adopted or their own. But
Yeah.
there are no standards again. So
Hmm.
again, interoperability, cross-border transactions, all that will start becoming a problem again. We need
Yeah.
to do it in sync with other countries also. It's not just going to be your own CBDC; it has to be across border, because there's a B2B and a B2C arm of part of CBDC.
Absolutely. I was reading somewhere that you recommended certain solutions to G20 on compliance, regulations, and
Yes.
certain standards that governments can adopt to regulate cryptocurrencies. So, what were some of those suggestions that you made?
Well, we are supposed to have it under an NDA and kept under the wraps. Basically, one of the things I suggested was, uh, you know, one of the things, and I repeat that I said, when you come and look for solutions, the biggest problem we do look for solutions is we look in the five-star hotels of five-star cities.
Yeah,
Guys,
no one
that's not where the
makes
answers are found. Delhi, Bombay are great places. We get a lot of solutions, yes, but there is also tier two, tier three, tier four. They let them give some feedback on what they would like and how they can contribute. That's one. We also have
Mm,
the second. I see total gender diversity. I don't see so many women inside this space. Why? I find them the most analytical.
yeah.
My wife is definitely more analytical than I am. And I'll tell you that for sure. She
Mm,
has, like this. There are women who can actually contribute. We don't have too many women in this space. Why don't we
yeah.
have that? So, one of the suggestions I said there should be more inclusiveness, and we should bring in more stakeholders in policy. And of
Yeah.
course, the most important one: get the techies inside, guys. Where are the techies? I can tell you how to get into any system right now. Why are the techies not included in writing policy? Because policies are all about making things sane and giving a semblance and a framework, but they also know
Mm,
how to get out of the framework. It's like, if you make a law, you also know how to break the law. So you
mm.
need to have the right people. You've seen the movie Catch Me If You Can, Leonardo
I have,
DiCaprio.
yes. Of course.
That's
It's a
the idea.
beautiful
It takes a thief to catch a thief.
thing to catch a thief. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the moral of the story. There is no thief in the system. And
Yeah.
that's one of the recommendations. And they took that and said, yes, we need to have that. Because the vulnerabilities of blockchain, you talk about
Mm.
layer one blockchain, layer two blockchains, fine, that's there. Layer
Yeah.
zero blockchain is coming up. Now that will disrupt the whole system again.
Yeah.
Then are you going to rework your policy? Are you going to find out the loopholes again? Are you going to
Yeah.
find out, remake the frameworks and the standards? Guys, get good techies inside and proper techies, not the so-called influencers who know nothing, who have worked in controlled environment and corporates throughout their lives, but never in the real life. But then we need the real people inside, and there are a lot of good people in our country, and we sure will be able to do a lot of stuff inside. So yes, they out of the 14 recommendations we did, 10 of them were accepted and taken forward, which will be unveiled around September, October when the final G summit.
Yeah.
That's a great thing.
And
I'm happy. I'm
that
happy
that
about it.
is a great step. We're taking baby steps. We're not there yet, but eventually, let's hope that we would be.
Yeah, let's put it this way: Google Pay 10 years back and Google Pay now. Look at that difference now. Yeah,
Yeah, big difference.
we hardly
And
use it now. We use it every day.
absolutely. And this technology is a lot more disruptive, and I think the adoption is a lot quicker than it was for a lot of other technologies. Which,
Oh yes,
when we talk about adoption, it brings me to AI, ChatGPT, which has been the talk of the town for the last few months. I think the beginning of this year was all about AI, and
oh yeah.
there were talks about use cases of merging AI and blockchain together. What are your views on that? Can the Indian government leverage from AI and blockchain and the merge of these disrupting technologies?
Absolutely. I believe that all technologies work in tandem. You cannot have them working in isolation.
Mm,
I'll give you a simple example. When you talk about AI
mm,
knows nothing. It's programmed by you and me, right? Okay, it knows nothing. It's just going to it learns to read and make a sense of data which is available. Now, tell me one thing. I may have taken out a if I've taken out an AI product which is for a specific purpose, but at the end of
mm,
the day, somebody else trains it into something totally different.
yeah.
That is the problem. Now you add blockchain to that. Add integrate
Mm,
blockchain. That blockchain creates that audit trail. Who did what, when,
right.
how, where did it go deviating? All these can be tracked, and therefore making the AI product or the end result of AI more accurate and auditable. Otherwise, how do you believe? You and I can be replicated on AI, and we can speak a
Yeah,
lot of rubbish, right? It's scary.
it
Now
is.
it can also do a lot of good things and bad things. It's like a tool. At the end of the day,
Absolutely.
if I give you a hammer, what could you do? You could actually take some, you could a saw and you can make some furniture out of it, make something good out of it, or you can smack somebody's skull and say, "Hey, get lost." All right?
Mm,
It's the tool what is important. How you and your moral compass works with that's important. Now, AI with all its good things, you remember one thing in the US and everywhere else, they are putting
mm,
brakes on it because
yeah.
it's actually creating havoc and they know what it can create. It can create a Frankenstein.
Mm,
It's not safe. We need to bring that too under a framework. We need to have regulations around that. There are none there also.
absolutely.
We are struggling with technology because we have let it go rampant
Yeah.
without putting it in a box and say, well, listen, we need to put some sort of a framework around that. There has to be some accountability. The blockchain and
Mm,
AI, it's about more accountability. It brings about more sort of I'm not saying it's a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all problems, but it will
mm,
bring about that level of audits which is required and therefore become a deterrent for those who want to do
mm,
something else with it. So
absolutely.
they're going to work in tandem. The next few years, you'll find blockchain AI working very strongly together.
Yeah. And how far
And
is the Indian government from the realization of this dream that they would move towards adoption? Are we anywhere close to that, or
yes,
there's
we are
still time?
close. We are close. We are close. We see, as far as blockchain is concerned, the government is absolutely gung ho on it. That's one part. As far as emerging technologies, yes, they are gung ho on AI. In fact, 2 days back, there was a statement from I think the finance ministry that banks and etc. should be cognizant about AI and blockchain
Hmm.
because tons of data pass through this institution. And to make us, when we have to have a strong nation, we have to have all our institutions very strong. Banking is one such institution. Recently, the SVK Bank went kaput, and the
Hmm.
credits plenty and there was centralized banks, nothing to do with crypto.
Yeah.
Mind it. So
The
they
banking
went.
crisis has been pretty insane in the US.
And mind you, it is still there. It has just been, a lot of perception management. Now it's still very much there. The
Yeah.
banking system is broken. We cannot
Mm,
have a broken institution. It's
right.
an institution, like the government is an institution.
Mm,
So is banking. But you know, blockchain is called an institutional technology, not just information
Absolutely.
technology. And
Absolutely.
that's now bringing that institution, that layer into the existing pillars of democracy. We need that. And that's
Absolutely.
what will come. And that's why the government is cognizant and is going to do a lot of things. Also, globally, a lot of corporates now, when they do a due diligence of companies, they check out if they have good systems. And blockchain means, right, their systems are good, means they have got, they cannot be tampered with, and they are honest, they cannot be manipulated. That
Right.
also stands for good business, good enterprise, good economic growth over a period of time. That's what we
Absolutely.
where we are right now, and the government has definitely, we are closer towards it than we were even a year back.
Yeah, yeah. No, that does make a lot of sense. I was recently talking to someone, some stakeholders at one of the biggest Indian crypto exchanges. I'm not going to take any names, but the person was suggesting something around how, since the regulatory, there's no clear regulations around cryptocurrencies, is why a lot of institutions might not be investing in cryptocurrencies at this point in India. But there are expectations that probably in the next coming 2 quarters, there might be some positive news from the government and regulators, especially in India, and this could lead to a lot of investments flowing from the institutional side. Does this seem like a plausible scenario to you? And what are your views on institutional
Uh,
investments in India towards
I
cryptocurrencies?
see that about 3 years away from now. I don't see it immediate. There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
If you look at any cryptocurrency, any crypto exchanges in India, without naming any, there are good, very good ones. They don't have any common
Yeah.
standards. There are no common standards
Mm,
within the sector itself. Okay,
yeah.
they all have their own set of rules and regulations. There is no uniformity in brokerage or whatever, custodian charges, this, that, blah, blah. Everything is as per what they want. Now, that is one big. That's not a very confident thing when an institutional investments happen, right? That
Mm,
brings about polarization of investment. Somebody else could give them a better deal outside India. So why would they put it in India? Because it's not Indian currency. They're dealing in crypto. Crypto is
absolutely.
universal.
Absolutely.
Why India?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
have a regulated regime
Mm,
within the space, you will get institutional inflow. Otherwise, why would you do it here?
yeah.
Why is
Makes sense.
institutional investment happening more in the United States? Because there is some form of, frameworks happening, some standards being created. Europe, MICA is coming up. Unless we
Right.
have something here, you can kiss institutional investment goodbye, no matter what exchanges say. Or
Yeah.
anybody.
Right.
Would you, if I was not sure of a country, would I put my money there? Forget the institutions.
Yeah. Right.
If tomorrow we have the National Stock Exchange and the Bombay Stock Exchange, for example, and other stock exchanges, we put our money there because we know it's been regulated. SEBI takes care of it. There's a watchdog
Mm,
over it. There is something we can go to someone. Where do you
right.
go to if you can't withdraw your money from Binance recently, which happened? What do you do? You ask all your friends. People are asking me as if to say I'm the custodian. I don't know. So
Friends and lousy customer care services. That's all you
मैंने
got.
आप बोला था ना नहीं डालने के लिए all that shit, right? So
Yeah.
unless you're going to have some standards, unless you're going to have some method in this madness, you're
Yeah.
not going to get institution. In fact, if you look at exchanges on
Mm,
paper, you've got 20 crore investors and all those things.
yeah.
Rubbish. There are not more than 5 to 6 lakh active ones.
Yeah.
Rubbish with anybody. All numbers are great to hear. How many
Yeah.
who's trading? You look at the volumes. Look at the drop in
Mm,
volume, then you put 30% tax. 32,000 crores went out of the country in the next 6 months.
yeah.
Out. Where's the money? What exchanges will talk about foreign investments when Indian investments are going outside? So, with due respect to all exchanges, we need to have
Mm,
themselves need to come together and create a certain framework, which they're probably doing anyway, because that's good for all of them, right?
yeah.
But then government has to approve it. And
Absolutely.
which one of them are registered in India? That's a very good question.
Almost none.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not
that's
saying.
a shady arena, and those are difficult waters for them to trod into as well. So we're almost
Exactly.
running towards the end of our time, and I don't want you to miss your flight as well. So my
Oh, my
final
fault.
question to you: three biggest expectations that you have from the crypto blockchain Web3 market globally this year. 2 quarters down, two more to go.
All right. I think I always have been an advocate. We need the compliance, we need the frameworks, we need standards, and we need proper taxation. That is my first wish. We need to work together. That is the first. You want the second one?
Yes, please. I was looking forward for the
I
second,
want
third.
I want more women inside this space. They come up
Absolutely.
with the best solutions. We are very you'll be very happy to know, we have a 57% women centric workforce in our organization at IBA. 57%
Yeah,
is higher than most worldwide. So, and there's a reason for it.
absolutely.
It's not because I like women. I love women. Yes, I love my wife. I love my daughter. But
Yeah,
I love their way of their approach towards work. And I think, and we've created some really good products. You'll be happy to know that our women teams have 7 blockchain patents with them in
yeah,
I.
wow.
That is the second thing which I want. So I want women inclusion. And third, I want the nation to look at tier 3 and tier 4. That's where real
Yeah,
solutions will come for, because your highest number of crypto wallets are in tier 3, tier 4. If we are
absolutely.
ignoring, we're looking at the tree, but not the woods. That's the big
Yeah,
problem. We should start now looking at the woods and not chop them down. Plant more trees
absolutely.
means get more into tier 3, tier 4. These are my three things which I want in this space. I'll add a fourth one. That is my
Yes, please.
personal wish. I want India to take the bull by its horns and be the
Mm,
leader in the Web3 space. We missed 2 buses. We should
yeah,
not miss this one. I am telling you, we have a real golden opportunity. And with the G20 coming at the right time, more or less, to India, I think we have that chance. I was talking
mm,
to the Department of Justice in USA
yeah.
yesterday, and we are doing a
Mm.
series of events in Delhi just around the G20 final. And I'll invite you. By the way, the Justice, they and us work together in tandem on multiple things as well.
Wow. Super. I'm sure, Mr. Kapoor, with you at the forefront of the boom of this technology, working very closely with the government, the future is definitely bright, and we can only be optimistic and hopeful for a future. And I couldn't agree more with all the 4 points that you've put out there. And since we're almost at the end of our time, I would just thank you for coming to our show and enlightening our audiences. And this was a really amazing chat. And I, for sure, had a lot of takeaways from today's chat. Are there any
Okay.
final thoughts that you have for especially beginners in this space? Because somewhere or the other, I feel beginners and novices are sort of
Yes.
ignored in this space. So, what are some of the key suggestions that you have for them?
My advice to all beginners is actually do your own research, guys. Don't
Hmm.
listen to influencers. They're not teaching you anything, they're just telling you what they know. Okay.
Yeah.
But there are many, many great resources. Get aware and educated about us, about technology. That is a revolutionary technology. I did that. And mind you, I learned it from no influencers. And I learned it in 2010 when there were no courses, no nothing, no influencers. I learned it from Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper. Download that. That's your Bible for learning this fantastic technology. Learn from there. Everything else. And it, look at the trends. Keep on looking for real world solutions, not some half baked solutions. Real world solutions. See if you can have blockchain to solve it. And my last advice is, there is a model which I use, and I'm telling you that it's called the FITS model, FITS. Blockchain
Okay.
fits into this FITS model. The F being fraud. Wherever there could be a possibility of fraud in a business, you require
Yeah.
blockchain. I,
Yeah.
information. Wherever there's a lot of information, and you don't know whether it's true or not true, like AI can only make some sense of it, but it doesn't know whether it's true or not. That's
Yeah.
information, a lot of information. You require blockchain in that. Trust, TFIT,
Absolutely.
trust. When you don't trust people, when there is a supply chain, there are so many players, you can't trust them. You don't know when there is. That's where you need the blockchain. And S, of course, is security. The most secure,
Hmm.
unhackable, immutable. So if you have a fixed model, that's it. You require blockchain. All you need is the fits model. Everything fits into that. That's my advice.
Most definitely. Couldn't agree more. And thank you so much for enlightening our audiences and myself today. Couldn't be more grateful, Mr. Raj Kapoor. And thank you so much again for joining us. I hope to see you really soon, and hoping to cover this amazing event that's happening in Delhi in collaboration with DOJ US. So do send an invite to Voice of Crypto, and
Well,
I'll
be
see
in
you.
touch. You're connected with me, so I
Most
will.
definitely.
I'll send you my mobile number. I'll share from there all the events we're taking place. Don't worry.
Perfect.
And that goes for
And
everybody who's listening in. I'll do that for
exactly.
everybody.
We will have the episode edited and up on our YouTube soon enough. So for anyone who missed out on this, can go back to our YouTube and check out this amazing chat that we had. And thank you again, Mr. Kapoor, for joining us today. Thanks to everyone for joining and listening to this amazing chat today. And we'll see you next week with yet another interesting guest. And until then, bye bye, ciao. Thanks again, Mr. Kapoor. It was a
Hasta
pleasure.
la vista. Till we meet again. Bye bye.
Sure. Bye bye.